The second group discussed the overcoming barriers to climate change education, and they noted while climate change is self-evident to many in the academic community, there's a strong resistance among diverse groups in the general public. And I just kind of alluded to that in terms of revelation of this polling. In some cases, it may be more exaggerated in the political debate and in public political debate than it is in practice about what people really believe, but it is a reality that we have to deal with. These groups indicated a need for a clear, customizable message from scientists and educators to engage local communities and other stakeholders. This should include leading by example at all levels of science and education, and B, to embrace an interdisciplinary approach to address issues of economics, humanities, and science. And there's that I word again, interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary, as Pat Harker pointed out. You could even think that it should be transdisciplinary because we need to move knowledge and information across those disciplines to emerge with a better understanding more than just the sum of the parts. The third area was raising climate change awareness among students. How do we prepare climate change awareness and engagement among students from elementary school to college to ensure that we have informed citizens and members of the workforce? We must capture their interest at an early age to encourage climate change careers and civic commitment. They suggested A, involve broad community, agriculture, public health, business, not just the people who are focused on STEM education. So we need to think about what this means to those people in those activities, whether it's the challenge that we would have of additional heat stress and illness as a result of changing climate, or whether the questions of how agriculture in our two states, which agriculture is very important in our two states, will have to change and adapt. Incorporate multidisciplinary approach at all classes, integrate through P20 and business community to provide outside classroom opportunities through internships. This is in terms of getting people prepared for the professions that they'll need to fulfill in the future. And B, lack of knowledge of frontline teachers and appropriate pedagogy or content. Enhancing teacher knowledge will increase student engagement. And that pointed the point that several made is that Shirley Malcolm made is that really higher education has to play a leadership role because we have to work and train these teachers, new teachers as well as existing teachers. And then finally, the fourth area was promoting collaboration in climate change education. Real climate change innovation will require collaboration across institutions and organizations. How can these partnerships be initiated, maintained, and enhanced? And the approaches, the suggestions are A, make it a win-win for all groups. Make this real. How does this impact me in my life? In that regard, we have in Maryland, and I think Delaware is pursuing the same approach now, done an impact analysis. We try to take the knowledge of the science that we have and apply it to the states, the regions in which we live in terms of how it affects the various resources and aspects of human life. We are now in Maryland taking that to the next level and trying to indicate what that might mean in terms of our adaptation strategies. So the point is, and I think Dr. Holdren made that, several speakers made the fact that we have to make it relevant to people where they live. Polar bears are lovely, we all like them, but we need to think of also what it means for the places that we live and care about, and the children and grandchildren that will have to deal with these issues. And then B, alter the reward structure. Funding and time are obvious barriers, but will something be needed to give? Will policies need to change? Will there need to be stop doing some things in order to make this happen? Plates are already full. We need to be aware that we'll take it. Need to subtract as well as add. So if you look at these suggested points, principles, there's one here because I think we've recognized this. We've already learned that in spades, and to recognize that climate change education needs to not just be another layer, another addition to, but it needs to work through and enhance and support the other educational initiatives that we have in STEM education, and the requirements that we have for No Child Left Behind in terms of student achievement. And also, in the case in Maryland, you heard about our environmental literacy requirement. That's new. It needs to be climate change and sustainability need to be part of that rather than another requirement. It just will not work. So those are, in a very brief way, the summary of what we've heard so far from the breakout groups. We've got more information coming as we bring it together, and we'll add it to the research that we've already done, the planning that we've already done. This little form is very important. We mean that these will guide our approaches as we move forward. So please take the time to either, you can fill them in now and leave them, or you can send them back, or you can follow the instructions and send us an email about your suggestions about these. Is a statement from this summit. So thanks very much, Britt. Yes.
Very briefly, I know we've run a little over time, so let me just conclude by thanking all of you, first of all, for being here, and special thanks to Don Boesch and Nancy Shapiro from the University System of Maryland, putting together our part of this effort, to President Harker and Dean Targett from the University of Delaware for their role, to the National Science Foundation, Maryland Department of Education, all of our presenters, panelists, and participants, and all of you who've made such a contribution throughout the day. It has been an incredible day, and I think we would all agree informative, and I hope you feel, as I do, inspiring and motivating. I think the key now is, what is the follow-up? I think all of us agree, we're convinced, we're committed. The wolf really is at our door. I think we all also probably agree that action has to be taken. But how do we do this most effectively? There is always the danger after an event like this that we will all go off and create our 1,000 points of disconnected lights. What we need to do is to come together in a synergistic way so that the impact of the collective action has real impact. And it just seems to me that this Made Clear grant potential is a wonderful vehicle for something we all think needs to happen. It does provide us the opportunity to capture what was the overwhelming theme throughout this conference, and that's the need to integrate environmental education both horizontally across all the disciplines and vertically from kindergarten through college. That's what we can do with this Made Clear program. Now, let me remind you, we've only gotten $1 million. This is just a planning grant. We have to put together a convincing proposal to win up to $10 million that would go to Maryland and Delaware so that we could do the very things that we have been talking about. So that's our opportunity, and that's our challenge. But I believe with the collective effort of the people in this room and the leadership we have in both states, it can occur, and that's what we've got to work to make happen. Again, thank all of you for being here and making such a wonderful a contribution to a very successful day. Safe travels.